to
The Dark Files. I'm Emily Sweaters.
And I'm Kasie Cardigan.
And today I'm going to be telling all of you fine folk about gangstalking.
Gangstalking. I'm excited. I will tell you guys, if our sounds a little different today, it's because I forgot the plug that goes into the MacBook that we record with the microphone. So we're clicking it old school with my cell phone.
Yes, so we're recording on Casey's iPhone, which is how we did the first couple episodes.
And hopefully it sounds good.
Yeah.
Also, Emily, I'm looking through, why do you have an entire Walmart toy shop magazine?
I don't know, it got emailed to me, or mailed me. I ordered a lot of stuff off Walmart during the beginnings of COVID.
Yeah.
And, I guess they just thought I might want toys. But Walmart's got some fire Black Friday deals.
Right.
They have
in the toy
No,
magazine?
They have like a 40-inch TV for $80. I'm gonna buy that and mount that right above that mantle.
Nice.
Get rid of that clusterfuck over there.
I need a bigger TV.
Yeah.
I want a big one.
So anyhow.
Anyway, sorry.
So I already cracked my claw. Sorry guys, I couldn't wait.
Yeah, and I'm not drinking a claw today.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna exercise after this. So we're being responsible.
Casey's being responsible. I'm not being responsible.
Fair.
So this actually, gangstalking, came as a...
Sorry, are you saying gang?
Hey, leave her alone. That was Barb.
That was Barb, everyone. Gang stalking.
Yes.
Like G-A-N-G.
Yes.
Okay.
So this came to us as a request from our friend Sydney from grad school.
Hi, Sydney.
Hi, Sydney.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. Yeah, she said that she put in the request. She doesn't know much about it, but she would be interested in learning more. So gang, as in like street gangs, but it's not street gangs, but that's the word.
Okay.
So gang stalking. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So gang stalking is what happens when people with medical conditions that cause paranoid delusions find each other on the internet and validate their delusional thinking.
There's a term for everything, isn't
There surely is.
Okay.
So the main theory that they have is that they're being watched, targeted, teased, and tracked by either the government or like corporate entities. So like Amazon or like other
Target.
Okay, so first of all, I want to say that not everybody who believes in this has a mental illness.
Oh.
Okay, but from what I've been able to like find, most people who do believe that this is happening to them do have some sort of like psychosis happening.
Okay.
Okay. So in order to fully understand gang stalking, I think we first have to talk about schizophrenia and paranoid delusions and like what can cause them.
Okay. I'm excited for this.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So I first want to say that schizophrenia is not a dark file, right? Mental illness, mental health is not a dark file. It's not spooky or weird. It's just something somebody's born with. They don't choose to have it. And I also think that it is important to understand like schizophrenia and delusions and hallucinations in order to fully understand gang stalking.
Okay.
So schizophrenia is a mental illness that impacts the way a person thinks, feels, behaves, and interacts with reality. So usually onsets during late teens to the early 30s.
Oh, so, I didn't realize it went all the way to the early 30s.
Yeah, I think so. I know for most people, it's like late adolescence, early adulthood. Okay. That's usually when it onsets. And it's usually diagnosed following somebody's first episode of psychosis. Okay? So psychosis is defined as a condition that impacts the mind in which a person has lost contact with reality. So I know that's a pretty vague, broad definition, but essentially what that means is during a psychotic episode, a person's thoughts and perceptions are distorted, and they experience either hallucinations, delusions, or both. Okay, so psychosis it is part of schizophrenia, certainly, but it's also can be part of other things, like bipolar disorder can cause psychosis. Okay. Sleep deprivation in extreme cases can cause psychosis.
So psychosis and schizophrenia are separate things?
They are separate things, but psychosis is part of schizophrenia.
Yeah. So if you have schizophrenia, you will
almost certainly have psychosis.
Yes. Okay. And that's when you're like kind of lost touch with reality.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So it can also occur, different drug interactions can cause it. Also mixing drugs with alcohol can cause it. And then some drugs like amphetamines, ecstasy, that kind of stuff can also cause hallucinations, delusions, psychosis. I'm
excited to be learning about this because I'm pretty sure in the school counseling program, at least I just totally blacked out. I don't think we learned, because this wasn't a lot of this like in the diagnosis class, and we don't have to take diagnosis.
Right.
So I'm excited.
Diagnosis was like the best class.
I that's the one thing I'm like, I wish we could have taken diagnosis.
I loved that class. So there are 3 different categories of symptoms found in schizophrenia. Also, I should go ahead and quote my sources.
Every time.
So all the stuff that about like schizophrenia and psychosis I got from Mayo Clinic.
Okay.
Their website. I'll start with my other.
That always makes you think of mayonnaise.
Cite
like
my other
clinic
source.
of mayonnaise.
Yeah.
I know it's not. It just does. Sorry, it's been a long week, so that's just where my brain is at.
So there are 3 different categories of symptoms in schizophrenia. So the first is psychotic symptoms, which is what we've been talking about.
Like psychosis.
Yeah. So hallucinations, delusions. So we talked about this when we did Otherkin.
This is all within the psychotic one?
Yes.
Okay. So
hallucinations are seeing, perceiving something that is not there. So hallucinations can be harmless. I've worked with patients who described hallucinations as like seeing like an animal that's not there, or like seeing a person that isn't really harming them or saying anything to them, but they know is not there. So they can be harmless, but they can be harmful. So most hallucinations are auditory, so hearing voices. Those are the most common. And those, of course, can be really dangerous. And they might tell a person to hurt themselves, hurt somebody else, might tell them somebody's after them. And so that would be a paranoid delusion is, like...
What's a paranoid delusion or hallucination?
Sorry. That's, so hallucinations and delusions can actually, like, pair up. So you might have a hallucination.
So it's a delusion, but it's also a hallucination.
So hallucination is like perception. Delusion is belief.
Say that again. Sorry.
Hallucinations are perceptions.
Hallucinations are perceptions.
So like seeing things, hearing things, smelling things that aren't there.
Okay.
And then delusions are beliefs that are false.
Okay.
So there's paranoid delusions, which is believing that people are after you, believing that you're... Hey, Barb, stop it. Believing that you're being targeted by like the CIA, believing that people are stalking you. And that's primarily what we're going to talk about with gangstalking is paranoid delusions. There's also delusions of grandeur, where you believe that you're much more important than you really are. So maybe believing that everybody like loves you, or believing that... Barb, you have to stop. Was she biting your hair?
Yeah.
Hey, stop it.
Anyway, sorry guys. She's biting
the blinds. I hate her. Barb.
I will pet you if you don't bite me.
She's such a little shit.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, so a lot of delusions of grandeur can be like believing that you're the head of a religious organization, or you're like the second coming of Jesus or God. Yeah. So that's not so much what we're talking about here. Primarily what we'll be talking about.
I didn't realize delusions of grandeur was like an actual diagnosis.
Yeah, it's
I just thought it was like people were like, oh, they're having delusions of grandeur.
Yeah. No, delusions of grandeur aren't in of themselves a diagnosis, but it's like a component of psychosis. Okay. So also, thought disorder is another psychotic symptom. So thought disorder would be like disorganized speech or thinking. So if you've, I know that there's something, when I was learning about this in school, word salad is how they refer to it. So it's when somebody who has psychosis is just rambling, talking, and it doesn't make any sense. Yeah. But that's how their thoughts are too, right? So like, for them, it might make all the sense in the world, but to anybody listening to them, it doesn't really.
It makes no sense.
Yeah. Okay. So psychotic symptoms are one category. Second category is negative symptoms. Oh. Negative symptoms are loss of motivation, loss of interest in activities once enjoyed, flat affect, or reduced speaking or catatonia. So when somebody's catatonic, they don't speak. Yep, exactly. So that's also a symptom of schizophrenia. And then cognitive symptoms is the third category. So these are difficulty processing information to make decisions, problems using information immediately after learning it, trouble focusing or paying attention.
Okay. So do you have to have all three to be considered schizophrenic?
I believe so. You definitely have to have the psychosis. But yeah, I believe I need to double check that because I didn't really refresh myself on that. But like negative symptoms like loss of motivation, loss of interest, that's like depression, anxiety. Yeah. And then even like the cognitive symptoms like trouble focusing or paying attention, like those.
That's me. I actually took a quiz to see if I have ADD.
Do you have it?
So that was it said if you have if you scored between 18 and 24, you should probably go to a medical professional.
What did you score?
17.
Oh, so you're good.
Right on that edge.
So how schizophrenia is treated is with a combination of medications, so antipsychotics, therapy. And people can, with schizophrenia, because I was always kind of taught, like, in college and when I took, like, even AP Psych in high school, that, like, people with schizophrenia really can't have, like, normal lives, and that's not true.
Yes, I feel like that message somehow comes across a lot. And I don't know why. But I do feel like that happens, where you just picture them, like, in a mental hospital or something, or not being able to, like, live a full life.
Right.
Which I don't know why, though.
Yeah. Yeah, and certainly it's like it's disruptive to being able to live a full life, like the life that you want. But yeah, people with schizophrenia can have normal lives. And is it hard to manage? Far. Sorry, she's biting. Don't let her do that. Come here. You're gonna have to go in your room if you don't stop.
She's like, I didn't do anything.
Yes, you did. Okay, sorry guys.
I can get it out. It's fine.
Barb's an idiot. I mean, I love her deeply, but okay. Anyway. So, yeah, problem with a lot of antipsychotics, though, is that they have a lot of...
I'm encouraging it. It's fine.
She's going to hurt your sweater.
It was $10 from Kroger.
I don't care. It's a nice sweater.
Okay, well, now she's stuck on it.
Here, you pull her nail out. Go away. Okay, so, yeah, antipsychotics have a lot of side effects that aren't great. They can. Not everybody.
Wait, pause.
Mm-hmm.
Then start, because I need space. If I'm going to edit it out, I need a little space.
Gotcha. So antipsychotics have a lot of side effects that are aversive. So for example, like dry mouth, that's a really common one that people complain about.
Yeah.
And they sometimes like make people like kind of just like really flat. Mm-hmm. So a lot of folks don't want to take the medication, and this happens with a lot of different psychiatric stuff too, like different conditions, is the medication side effects can sometimes be just as distressing as the symptoms that you're using to treat them. So now that we have a better understanding of psychosis and paranoia, let's return to gangstalking. So also remember, it's not just schizophrenia, right? People can have psychosis with a lot of other diagnoses. And not everybody who believes in gangstalking has paranoia or schizophrenia, okay? So keep that in mind. Okay. So people who experience schizophrenia and psychosis are often cut off from their social support systems, right? So, like, it's hard to really have friends if you're actively hallucinating. It's hard to work. It's hard to, like, connect with people and, like, do things that you want to do. So a lot of times they get disconnected and like they don't really have a whole lot of friends or a big social network. And a lot of times even like their family might get really frustrated and burnt out with the whole process.
Makes me sad.
It's very sad. And I think in a lot of, it's more so like, I think people definitely do lose family support, but it's really difficult to like maintain friendships or like have a romantic relationship if you're experiencing these symptoms like in a severe way.
Yeah.
So it makes it hard to connect and like share with other people. So a lot of these folks turn to the internet to socialize, like a lot of us do.
Right. Yeah.
Especially
now during the corona.
Yeah. During the Rona. So delusions and hallucinations can lead a person to believe, and this is like more paranoid delusions, that they're being followed, stalked, or harassed. That's very common in paranoia. Like you believe somebody's
coming after you.
Sorry, I just burped. When they share these beliefs with people in their life, so in case you were to say to me, I think the CIA is after me and they put a chip in me, I'd be like, girl, what We gotta
You'd be
talk.
like, wait, where does it put it? Is it where they put Scully's? Because now we're on to something.
So when they say these things to other people, they get skepticism. Like, they're like, no, like, I don't think that's really true. Or they get told, like, hey, you need to go talk to your psychiatrist.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't...
Because odds are you really aren't being stalked by the CIA.
Right, exactly. However, when they find other people on the internet who also have these delusions, they don't say that to them. They don't say, you're wrong. They say, yeah, you're right. That happened to my friend. That happened to me.
Oh.
So this is where gangstalking...
So they finally feel like what they're experiencing is real.
Yes, exactly. So it reinforces these beliefs because they both have them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense.
So keep in mind that schizophrenia is rare and impacts less than 1% of the population.
Huh.
Yeah, it's very rare. So pre-internet, these people were disconnected from society, overlooked, undervalued, and in many cases, these things are still true, right?
Yeah.
So there's still a lot of stigma about all mental illness, but I think especially about mental illness that has psychotic features. There's a lot of...
I think for some people, it's just so hard to understand.
Yes.
And put themselves in that
Definitely.
shoe.
So they were really like, some of these folks would be in mental health facilities in and out for their whole lives.
Right.
And still are. But when you get on the internet and you find these like-minded people, that gives you an avenue to really like explore these delusions further, which is not good.
Yes.
Not good.
Not good. But that's sad because on one hand, I feel like that would be good. Like, oh, they get to talk about it and feel like themselves. But on the other hand, like that could cause them to be in danger if they start believing things that really aren't true.
Exactly. So yeah, you're right. It is a shame because in some ways they could relate to each other if they were like both wanting to like get better and like manage their symptoms. But because they're like wanting to stay in the illness and like believe these delusions. Yeah. So from what I've been able to ascertain from my research, and by the way, researching this was very hard. I'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. But my main source was a medium.com article by Ben Chapman from July 2019. And I also watched a Vice documentary that was really good. It's about 50 minutes long. And it is... Sorry, I want to make sure I get my sources right.
I'm still thrown off by the name. Gangstalkin.
Yeah. So Matt Shea was the guy who did the documentary for Vice. So very good. Check it out. Definitely worth a watch. It's called Meet the Targeted Individual Community. And the documentary is named that because these people who believe that they're being gang stalked call themselves targeted individuals.
Oh, I was like, that's quite the name. That's like, okay.
So the reasons that they believe that they're being stalked vary widely based off of their delusions. Mm-hmm. So some people, like if they're part of the LGBTQ community, they might say that's why. Right?
But who do they say is stalking them?
It varies. So it could be the government. It could be
an X.
So not in this. So in gang stalking, it's not individuals. It's a conglomerate. So it's either like the media.
Sorry, you did say
or
that. Okay.
the government. The government's the main one.
People think the government.
Yeah, like the CIA, the FBI. Somebody's watching them. But it also could be like I know with Facebook, for example. That's a big one. Like, so they're watching us, like, they're trying to gather information on us to use it against us, that kind of stuff. So it could be, like, social media, government, or just any, like, big conglomerate. So, it ranges based off their delusions. So some people, they take whatever their life circumstance is and make the narrative fit it. So, there was one woman that they interviewed that was like, well, I'm being gang stalked because I cheated on my husband. Like, they kind of like...
And they call it gang stalk?
Yeah. Yep. So... And for other people, they think that they're being gang stalked because they're like on to the conspiracy. Like, oh, they know that I know about them. That's why they're after me, kind of a thing.
And do they... Sorry, and if you're going to say this later, tell me. But... So are they all believing the exact same conspiracy?
No.
They all have like each person has a different conspiracy, but they're just getting like told that it's right by other people.
Yep.
Okay.
And it's really hard. It was very honestly frustrating for me to research it because it makes no sense to you and I. But remember that with delusions and hallucinations, these people very much believe it. They're not like looking for attention or like trying to cause a ruckus. Like it is very real to them. And imagine how scary that would be to like have this conviction, this very strong belief that somebody's after you. Like that's got to be terrifying. And it is no fault of their own. It is more it's the illness, right? It's the mental illness.
That would be so scary if you were like convinced this is going to happen to me and no one's believing you. Yeah.
Some people like develop insight, so they might know like, okay, this voice in my head is a hallucination. And imagine like, so you have this.
What do you mean? Sorry, they develop insight?
Yeah. So like insight is like in mental health terms, insight is how much a person knows that their behaviors, thoughts are due to their mental illness.
And they just develop it over time?
Yeah, so like with treatment.
With treatment.
So like maybe you go to a doctor, psychiatrist, therapist, and they help them identify like, hey, this is actually your schizophrenia. This is a delusion. This is hallucination. This is not real. So some people develop that. So I say like, okay, I know that I'm having a hallucination. I know that this is a hallucination, but it's still a voice in your head talking. Like imagine how scary that is. And like just disorienting and confusing.
That's so baffling to me. I always think about that. I'm like, what if I see something that's really not there? How would I know that it's not there? How would I know that it's not real? How do they know it's not real?
Exactly. How do we know any of this is real?
Are we all in the Matrix?
But yeah, so I just wonder, like, I think this is a group of people that get made fun of a lot, and I just want to really encourage empathy because this would really suck.
Yeah.
For this to like be something you have to deal with. And what is not helpful is when they get together online and reinforce these delusions within each other.
Right.
So, so very much believe that what is happening is real and they're very scared. And so kind of similar to Otherkin, this was really hard to research because it's all over the place. There's no like set like theory, rules, ideologies, because these people are struggling with mental illness that distorts their perception of reality. So yeah, like Sally might think that the CIA is stalking her and Jim thinks Facebook's monitoring and targeting him, and they get online, and even though it's like different delusions, they just are like, that
makes sense. Yeah. This is why, blah, blah,
exactly.
Blah. Okay.
So it's really hard to research because it really exists mostly on the internet. In the Vice documentary I watched, there was like a conference that the guy went to. But yeah, it's mostly on the internet, and the websites are wild.
There was a gangstalking conference?
Yes. Yeah, Target Individuals Conference, I think is what they called it. So if you Google gangstalking, a lot of the stuff you'll find is not like educational information about gangstalking. It is people believing that they're being gangstalked.
Them being gangstalked.
And I got on some of the websites, but honestly, it's just so... Because, like, I want to make sense of it and, like, make logic of it so I can share it with you guys. But you just can't.
Yeah.
You just can't. So it's hard to research. It's scattered all around the world. So it's a worldwide thing. And because of the nature of psychosis and paranoia, there's not, like, a coherent, like, this is what we believe, this is why, yada, yada, yada.
Right. It's just people think that they're being stalked by an entity.
Right. And so kind of also similar to Otherkin, the definition of gang stalking isn't like universally agreed upon. So some people use the term to describe actual targeted stalking, coordinated bullying, or gang activity. So this is like actual, like true coordinated attacks. So like, if like actual gang activity, like if multiple gangs are teaming up to target some person, that does happen, but it's super rare.
Wait, pause. So, wait. When we're saying gangs, you don't really mean gangs. You mean like groups of people.
Well, in this, like what I literally just said, yes, I do mean like actual gangs. Because like there are there are very rare isolated incidences where a gang will stalk somebody, you know, if they, you know, owe them money or did them wrong. Yes, that can happen. But that is not what I'm talking about overall.
But you're saying some people call it gang stalking.
Yeah, so some people would call that like a gang, a street gang, ganging up on somebody. They would call that gang stalking.
Do you mean people in the...
No.
Like a
just
whole
in general.
Separate group
yes,
of
this
people.
is a whole separate group of people.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah,
I thought you were talking about people on
that's
the
why
internet.
it's confusing because there's so many different like people that define it differently.
Yeah, so you're just saying like I could say, oh, Emily, they're gang stalking you.
Yeah, exactly.
Which are actual literal gangs.
Yes, that are stalking you. Yes. Or coordinated bullying, which would be like multiple kids those ganging up on one kid at school.
Yeah.
So like
bullying's not okay, guys.
No, it's not. And what also makes this a little bit more like not super clear and kind of muddy is that we are being watched.
True.
Right? So like Facebook, I'm convinced Facebook is listening to me.
Oh,
100%.
The phone is 100%. Yes. I saw this meme that was like, this is my way of shopping now. I just yell out, I need a pair of leather boots. And then it comes up on Facebook.
So one time when I was on the boat with you, you guys were talking about your BrewMate White Claw holders.
Yeah, because I love it.
And I have never Googled BrewMate. Don't give a shit about it. I mean, it's a great White Claw holder, but like, I've never Googled it, shopped online for it. I didn't even know what it was. The next day it was on my Facebook. And
Emily, that's so creepy.
One time, Lauren and I, my sister, we were like testing it, and I was like, I love chocolate eclairs. Eclairs are my favorite dessert. Yum, yum, yum. And the next day, she got an ad on her Facebook for a bakery that sells chocolate eclairs. So, they are listening to us. But
they really are. But it's helping me shop, so that's
Well, that's it. It's like they're listening to us to get data on us to try to get money out of us. They're not listening to us to come and kill us. You're fine, I got another bag. Do you remember when we went on Kelly's bachelorette trip and I brought my flavor blasted pizza goldfish?
Oh, yeah.
And then they got a salmonella recall?
Yes.
And like 8 people texted me like, hey, did you hear your goldfish got salmonella recall? I didn't get salmonella though, I was fine. Anyway. So yeah, they are watching us. We are being surveilled. That is true. We all know it. But they're doing it for mostly innocuous reasons. For money, right? They target ads at us. They're not watching us to find us and come kill us. And so that's the difference is like people who really believe in these delusions they can't see that it's not as harmful as they think it is. But that's where it's hard because if you try to say to them like, hey, like it's not really happening, they'll be like, well, yeah, it is. And I have proof. And they're not wrong. They are watching us.
Right. And it's proof because in them, a lot of proof is how you would interpret things anyway.
Exactly. So, 2016 New York Times article estimates that the number of people who believe in gang stalking is around 10,000 worldwide.
Just making sure it was recording.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. I just had to tap my phone to make sure it was still recording.
Yep. I think we're good.
10,000 worldwide.
So that's what it's estimated.
That's not as many as I was thinking.
Yeah.
But 10,000 is still a lot of people.
It is a lot of people. And if like you try to say like, hey guys, like I don't think this is right, they often come back pointing out like MK Ultra. Like, look, there was this one mind control thing where the government did try to control our minds in the 60s. And like, yeah, that is true. So like they use like that's almost like they almost always if their particular delusion is related to the government, point out
that's what they'll go back to.
Yeah. And so many people who claim that they're gang stalked develop theories unique to their own situations. So again, it's like they take their life circumstances and the delusion like fits to whatever is they're experiencing.
And then they find evidence based on their life experiences.
Exactly. So the online gang stalking community is found all over the internet. There's YouTube. Barb, I will kill you.
She's literally just staring me down.
She likes to chew on my hair too.
I mean, I actually had a kid try to chew on my hair.
No,
he was petting my hair. Never mind.
Barb lived a rough life. I'm pretty sure she had a litter of kittens because her nipples are pretty big. That's how you can tell if an animal's had a litter, as if its nipples are big. I'm serious.
I believe you. That just reminds me of a conversation I've had with other people that I won't mention them out of embarrassment.
Okay. And then she's missing a bunch of teeth, so.
She's had a hard life.
Yeah, she has. And she's also missing a leg.
She is missing a leg. She's doing good.
Good.
Do you think she's going to poop on me? Because her butt is on my shoulder.
No, she's not going to poop on you.
Okay. Anyway, so what are we...
Okay, so, gang stalking communities found all over the place. YouTube, message boards, forums. So some websites, if you are so intrigued. StopGangStalkingCrimes.com. GangstalkingIsMurder.com. And Targeted Individuals Canada.
At least the Canadians have
Yep.
Theirs is pretty clear cut.
So, like I said, when I was researching this, I tried so hard to, provide a coherent understanding of exactly what it is these people believe, but I can't because they don't have a coherent understanding of what they believe.
So their websites are the Stop Gang Stalking?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, perhaps the most concerning part of this phenomenon is the fact that they encourage each other to ignore advice from medical and mental health professionals.
Oh,
yeah.
That's not great.
Yeah. So on many websites and forums, they're discouraged from going to the psychiatrist and alienated. Your friends, family, therapists won't understand you. We understand you. They're going to try to tell you that you're wrong.
Yeah.
This behavior only further damages the person because they can't. So in therapy, I always, one of my things is a life worth living. It's a DBT thing.
Mm-hmm.
So Marsha Linehan created dialectical behavioral therapy. And she's, the whole point is, to try to have a life worth living. And so
I like that.
Yeah. So when we think about, mental health, often our mental health can impede upon our ability to have a life worth living.
Right.
So, what can we do to try to get that, right? And you could certainly have a life worth living while having a mental health diagnosis. Everybody does it all the time.
Right, yeah.
But, so they can't really have a life worth living if they're not taking their medicine and they're not going to their appointments.
Yeah.
Okay? So, if you're active in your psychosis and not doing things you need to do, you're going to deteriorate.
Right.
So that's really harmful. That's, in my opinion, that's probably, if they want to get online and do their thing, I don't really have as much of a big concern about that as I do about them discouraging each other from going to their appointments, taking their medication, and about, reinforcing these false beliefs.
Yeah.
However, it does, again, make sense that these people feel more comfortable online. People who have schizophrenia, like we've talked about, they're stigmatized by the world and sometimes healthcare providers.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people in mental health facilities who have schizophrenia or other paranoia or psychosis, they don't get treated very well. That's unfortunately very true.
Sad.
Yeah, it's very sad. So imagine, okay, I'm going to go to my psychiatrist and take my medication and sometimes get treated like shit, or I'm gonna go hang out with these people online that believe me. Of course you're gonna want to do that. So the narrative of gang stalking,
I don't get why they treat them poorly. It's, if you had an issue with your with your leg,
yeah,
you would get treated. Your brain is a part of your body, people.
I'm with you.
I know, obviously, as we're both in the mental health field, but that just makes me sad that, there's some mental health professionals that still treat them poorly.
It's very sad. And it happens. I've certainly seen it happen, not where I work, but other, hearing stories from people that have been other places or seen other providers. And it always makes me wonder, where, in order to, be a good healthcare provider, I don't care if it's mental health or physical health, you have to have empathy.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
And if you don't have empathy for the people you're working with, I think that is a problem.
Mm-hmm. We're teaching the kids about empathy all the time in elementary school.
Yeah.
There's a song, walk, 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 walk in their shoes.
Yeah, when I did career day, they all sang that to me.
Did they?
Yeah.
That's so cute. I love that.
I did career day at Kasie school a few years ago, and I was like, I'm a therapist. And they were like, yeah, you gotta have empathy. And I was
that means my lessons are working.
So the narrative of gang stalking leads people to believe they can't trust other people, which unfortunately sometimes is true.
Sometimes you can't trust people.
Even and trust is a big thing. So take the paranoia away. It's hard for a lot of people to build trust.
Oh gosh.
So having that added, so it's like a catch-22, right? They feel more comfortable online. They go there. They get discouraged of going to their appointments. And it just like, it's like...
And they trust those people because they believe them.
Exactly. So, news coverage on gang stalking is sparse, and there's only a few articles out there that really talk about it.
I've never heard of it before.
Yeah, I've heard of it. So our friend Kyle...
Hi, Kyle.
Hey, Kyle. I don't know if Kyle listens. Kyle, I hope you listen. So this is a bit of a story. I'll try to make it brief. There was right when Pokemon Go came out. Do you know where this is going?
No, but I'm just intrigued
So,
for any of your stories.
basically,
Start with Pokemon Go.
I got into a bit of an internet, not fight, but just like a little exchange with one of Kyle's Facebook friends on one of Kyle's statuses about Pokemon Go. And
okay.
I like kind of joked about it and was like, this guy cyberbullied me, and like made it like kind of a thing. So Kyle, who he works in in social justice, that's kind of his thing. So he was at a training and they talked about gang stalking.
Oh wow.
And do you know what he did to me?
No.
He didn't gang stalk me, but they showed there's a technique that some people, like actual stalkers, will use. So I think the training was on stalking in general, and they talked about like actual stalking and like individual stalking versus like paranoid beliefs about stalking. And so what he did was he changed his own phone number and his contacts to the name of this guy that cyberbullied me. And he texted himself a conversation and then went back and strategically deleted, because you know when you text yourself you get two, like the one you send and the one you get.
I don't text myself, but okay.
You never text yourself, like if you like didn't have service?
I have texted myself to remind myself to do something.
So like the one you send and the one you get. So he went back and strategically deleted the thread, so it looked like he was talking to this guy, and it said like, hey, my friend Emily thinks that you cyberbullied her. And then like the person who wasn't real, it was Kyle, said, oh my gosh, she's so immature, she needs to grow up. So he learned that in this, and he screenshotted it to me. He learned that in the stalking presentation because I guess people do that. Like if, you know, like if you're trying to like manipulate or control somebody, you might like stage this conversation with somebody else that they care about to like, you know.
No, where my mind goes to is I read those those like memes of like parents' funny text messages.
Oh yeah, those are definitely fake.
My heart is broken because those are so funny.
They're totally fake. So the Vice documentary, so reading about this is one thing. Watching it is very different. So I would encourage everybody. It was really interesting. It's called The Community of Targeted Individuals. And
we'll have to link it on the Insta.
Yeah, it's so good.
Or at least put the title.
They interview these two guys and this one woman, and the two guys are like buds, and they're like reinforcing each other's delusions. And they say like, everybody says that we're crazy, everybody says that we've got paranoia or delusions, but we don't. And so they like find ways to rationalize like, I'm not crazy, like this is real. So again, they very firmly believe it. And
they have a diagnosis.
Yeah. And they believe things like, I've got implants in my head. They like actually, like one of the people actually wore a tinfoil hat because they believe that like the government's sending in like
I don't get how tinfoil is going to protect you.
Yeah, it's probably not. It barely protects my casseroles.
Yeah.
So,
maybe I should. No, that would be rude. Never mind. I was like, I feel like a tinfoil hat would be a really good, easy Halloween costume.
Yeah, it would.
But it seems kind of offensive, as we're supposed to have empathy for people.
Probably. But there are definitely, like, some conspiracy... And again, guys, I've talked a lot about people who have psychosis or paranoia, but not everybody who believes this does, right? Some people do not experience those things, and still believe that gang stalking, the government's watching us, people are after us, that kind of stuff. So... Yeah, in the documentary, so one of the guys believed that he had implants, and he had this, like, metal detector, and he, like, put it over his head, and it went off. So then he put a magnet up to his, like, the nape of his neck, and it stuck. So he was, like, trying to prove. But then the documentarian was like, well, let me try. So he does it, and the metal detector also goes off, and the magnet also stuck to the nape of his neck. So he was trying to be like, maybe this thing is just wonky, or it would just do this on everybody's head. And it looked like, honestly, when they put the magnets on, that it was just like, you know, like when, like, it wasn't like magnetized, it was just like laying there. But he was like, hey, like, it happened to me, this isn't real. And the guy was like, no, that means you have an implant too.
You're part of it too.
Yeah. So even when you try to like show them like facts, a lot of the times they're not gonna.
But to be in the guy's defense, not the documentarian, the other guy.
Yeah.
I could see how he would think that if he doesn't have any actual like science to say like this is why it's. I can kind of get that. If you're already in that state where you believe it, I could be like, that makes it. Well, like, yeah, no, you're part of it too, man.
Yeah. And this is not to say, like, I love conspiracy theories. I think they're fun. But I shared on Facebook this,
I do like conspiracy theories.
This, like, triangle of, like...
Yeah.
Did you see that?
I did see that.
And, like, there's, like, Bigfoot, Roswell.
Those are the fun ones.
Those are fun ones. Mothman, Britney Spears, like, Free Britney, what's going on with that? But, like, when you get up to, like, QAnon and people believing that Hillary Clinton drank blood on Jeffrey Epstein's island, that's dangerous.
Very dangerous. Gwen and I were actually talking about QAnon, and I want to do it as one of my topics, maybe.
You should. I just listened to a podcast about it. It's very interesting.
Maybe you should do it then.
You should do it.
Well, I don't know if I'm going to listen to the podcast.
You don't have to listen to a podcast.
I'll just research it.
There's lots of other things you
discuss it.
So yeah, that is the gangstalking situation.
Sydney, good request.
Yeah, Sydney, thanks for requesting. I'm
like intrigued.
Yeah.
I'm very intrigued.
Yeah, it was yeah, and again, it was really hard to research because, like, again, there's not much out there. But yeah, if you're interested, you know, maybe poke around on some of their websites so you can try to get, but it's kind of like, again, I hate to like beat a dead horse, but I really wanted to give like a coherent like description to everybody listening, and you just can't. It's like trying to make sense out of something that doesn't make any sense.
And I think with if you have a loved one or whoever in your life that's suffering with mental illness, I do think empathy is so important. Because there's definitely things that we're not going to understand at all.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But at least, like, don't treat them like they're crazy.
Right. Yeah.
Put yourself in their shoes and see how they feel.
Right.
Like, I think that would be that would be so scary. Yeah. Imagine living your life like that.
Yeah.
Thinking like you thinking the government is out to get you, or like the media is out to get you.
Yeah. And like that's, especially with gangstalking, like they're all powerful. Like if the government is out to get you and you really believe that, you're fucked.
I truly think if the government is out to get me, they're gonna fucking get me.
Yeah.
I
always, when I found, you know, when they found, like, released that thing that NSA was, the National Security Administration was, like, reading our text and shit.
Did you hear about the Snowden thing?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, well, now they know that I got Starbucks with my friends on Mall Road. Like, I don't give a shit. I don't have anything to hide.
It's really, just like a lot of people texting me, hey, did you see that show on Dolly Parton? You're like, oh, this chick really likes Dolly Parton?
Yeah.
Or her grandma's really good at Bitmojis. No, that was Bitmojis were after the Snowden. Grandma is really good at Bitmojis, though. She must spend so much time on them. She sends the perfect one.
Aww, that's so nice.
She's the cutest.
So yeah,
that was a good one.
Yeah.
So gangstalking, there is the type of gangstalking where it's actual gangs.
It is real, but it's
then
rare.
There's also definition of gangstalking, which is there's people who believe that like the government and things are out to get them. But it's not even just that they believe the government is out to get them. It's the specific people that are on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, like, if I believed that the government was out to get me, would that mean I'm part of the gangstalking community, or I'm only a part of it if I'm on the internet?
You're only a part of it if you're online interacting with other people who believe the same thing.
Well, they should come up with a different name because it really is misleading.
Yeah, it is misleading.
When you kept saying gangstalking, even though I know it wasn't, like, about gangs, I just kept thinking, I'm like, what the hell is Emily going to talk about?
Also, the word gang does not roll off the tongue very well. Gang.
Well, it kind of sounds like that Gangnam Style or whatever. That's what I'm like. That's why I asked you to clarify at the beginning. I'm like, what did you say? Well, that's a good one.
Yeah. So
I like it.
That's that on that.
Sydney, good suggestion. Guys, keep sending in suggestions. I think I can't quote me on it.
Okay.
But my friend Kelly.
Kelly?
No, different Kelly. I work with the Kelly. Hi, Kelly. Hi, all the Kellys.
Hi, all Kellys.
She's requested people who remember their past lives.
Ooh.
And I'm really intrigued by that. And I wanted to wait until Halloween was over because I wanted to do, the Halloween murder disappearance, which I did it's aired today, so we recorded it last week. So I think I'm gonna do that one.
Cool.
So send in your suggestions, guys, because we really like them. I also had a suggestion on body farms.
Ooh.
I know. I don't know if there's enough. I have to look and see if there's enough on it or to make it a side slice. Yeah, I have to investigate.
Yeah.
So guys, thank you so much for listening. I don't know what our numbers are of downloads, but I don't really care. We just have fun doing it.
Yeah, it's fun doing it. And if you guys make us famous, we won't be mad.
Yeah. So if you make us famous. Mainly if you could just White Claw to sponsor us, that would be really cool. If I could just I was going to say if I could have a constant supply of White Claw in my fridge, but I already have that. I would just like a free constant supply of White Claw in my fridge.
Yes, that would definitely help the budget.
The budget for sure. But anyway, you guys make sure you can always send us your suggestions on the Dark Files podcast at gmail.com or just text us or message us.
Yes. You can find us on Instagram at the Dark Files Podcast or on Twitter at Dark Files Pod.
I was thinking, Emily, when we hit episode 20, we should do a giveaway.
Oh, what should we give away?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
Maybe I'll make some koozies or something.
Okay. Cool.
So make sure you follow us.
Yes. Only to our followers. If you're not following us on social media, you don't get a koozie.
Yeah. Wait, let's be clear. You don't get a koozie just because you follow us.
You have to enter the contest.
You have to enter the contest. I also don't know how to run a giveaway contest, so we'll have to figure that out. Okay.
All right.
So, Emily, what do we say in the case of gangstalking?
Case closed.
Stay spooky, bitches.